So let's first get rid of this markup layer. And let's explain the concept first. Of course, and you guys are going to get tired of hearing me say this, there are many ways to do this. Probably the most obvious way to do this, especially since we have this nice solid background, there's no pattern or anything. So we could literally go in here almost, let's first of all create a new layer. Let's go down here and we'll click this new layer button. We're going to switch to our healing brush. You could use a clone stamp too, probably. As a matter of fact, let's do that. I'm going to switch to the clone stamp tool here. And I'm going to place a source down out here by holding down the Option key or Alt key on the PC. Click right here, and then we can start getting rid of these flyaways. Now you can see when I start doing this, and this is a pretty typical way for a lot of people to approach this and get rid of the flyaways. The problem with doing this is that you kind of get this edge in here, unless you want to go in here and really spend a lot of time and trim each little individual hair. But basically I'm going to do kind of a rough job here, and this isn't too bad up here doing it this way. Okay, but what you'll see is, I might exaggerate this a little bit, is you'll see people will come in here and they'll do something like this, and you'll see this unnatural edge of hair. I mean, no one's hair, especially a woman's hair, is going to, I mean, my hair might do it because it's so short, but no one's hair is going to just have this edge on it like this. Now, you know, I'm trying to show you guys something here, and it looks not bad on this picture because it's kind of dark, but you can kind of see this edge. Naturally, you're going to have a few flyaways. You don't want them sticking way out, but that would be one way to do it. But you get this kind of edge effect here, and you really don't want that. It just looks unnatural. It looks bad. You can tell someone has done that. Okay, so how we're going to do this is we're going to use the refine edge, and let's just talk real roughly about what's going to happen here. So first of all, all these edits we just made on this particular layer, let's go ahead and delete that. I'm just going to hit the delete key to get rid of that layer. And we're just going to make a really rough outline around her head. We're going to let the new feature, actually it started in CS5, I believe, which is refine edge, which we'll get to in just a minute. But basically, we're going to take her head, we're going to put it on a new layer, and then we're going to extend the background, and I'll show you how we're going to do that here in just a second. And all this will become clear as we go. I'm just trying to give you an idea of what we're going to do. Then we're going to extend the background behind the head that we created, the one that has the new selection without all the flyaway hairs. Okay, so before we even get started with that, we need to combine all the work we've done, because we really need to start with all the work we've done on its own layer. So the way we can do that is we go to layer, and we go to merge visible. Now if we select this one, it's just going to merge everything and flatten the image, which we don't want because we want to keep all our edits, right? So I'm going to hit Command Z. The keyboard shortcut to actually combine all these layers on its own layer is Shift Command Option E. That's a long keyboard shortcut, all 4 keys at the same time. On a PC, that is Shift Control Alt E, and that combines this whole image on its own layer. So basically, if I turn this off and on, it's the same exact image. That's the way you don't see anything changing. So this is the image we want to work with. It's the same one, but we can be destructive to this without hurting anything. So first of all, what we're going to do is take our lasso tool over here, and we're just going to draw in. Let's zoom in here just a little bit. We're going to draw a very rough edge around the edge of her hair. So this doesn't have to be exact, but just on the inside of the fringe of her hair. And I've got a Wacom tablet, so it makes it a little bit easier. We want all of this bow that she has in her hair or flower. We're going to come back into the hair and just kind of everything off to the outside of this is going to mostly go away. And then when I get down to her finger, of course, I want all of this and all of this. Okay, this doesn't, down here doesn't matter. We're really concerned about the hair. So from this point, we go up here and we select this button called Refine Edge. You can see what this outline looks like. I mean, it's absolutely horrible, of course. So if we turn on this Smart Radius and we start moving this over, and I have this being displayed on a black background so we can see what's going on here. Because we're already on a dark background, I don't really want to show it on white because it'll look horrible. So since we're already going to be on a dark background, let's just keep moving this slider, and I'm looking at her hair up here to see what this is going to start looking like as I move this over. So you can see what it's doing. Let's turn the Smart Radius off. Okay, that's not bad whether we want it on or off. Turn that on, but it's this radius slider that's doing all the magic. Let's see what it looks looking like down over here. Okay, you can see where it's, see where we don't have that hard edge anymore and some of the hair is actually coming out. It looks a lot more natural, doesn't it? And because we're putting this on its own layer, we can put a mask on it and bring back the underlying layer to make it look even more realistic. So I'm going to say that that's okay right there. Might go just a tad higher. Let's see. Yep, that looks good. So I'm going to say okay. That's going to create that selection for me. And then I want to take, remember I said we're just going to take her head off and put it on a new layer. And we do that by jumping the layer or jumping the selection, which is Control J, and that puts that selection on its own layer. Okay, so now that we've done that, we see no different in the image. And the reason is we really need, in order to hide this image or the flyaways that are in this image, we got to bring this back. We're going to make this background a little bit bigger. In other words, we got to replace the background at least behind her head. Well, we're fortunate in that we have a pretty solid background here. So I need to bring this background into her head a little bit. So the easiest way to do that, I'm going to turn this off for a second. The easiest way to do that is to go back to this layer, and I want to copy the background, at least just a section of it to cover this part of her head, right? So I'm going to go over here and just make this selection right here, make sure that this background layer is selected, and again I'm going to hit Command J to take that selection, put it on its own layer. Then I'm going to hit Command T or Free Transform, and I'm just going to pull this, stretch this over. Now we can get away with this. We can stretch because it's almost a solid color. If this was any type of pattern or anything else, you'd have to approach this completely different. That's another training episode. But for this one, we have a solid background. We can easily stretch this in behind her head. Okay, I'm going to hit Enter. I'm going to do the same thing 2 other times, one for the top of her head, one for the side of her head. So now we want to take a selection up here, duplicate it, free transform, pull it down, hit enter, go back to this background layer, make a selection, you know, don't include her hair, find something that's, let's see, that one little piece is, let's go about like that, do a jump, free transform, pull that over here, hit enter. So let's go ahead and merge these 3. This is going to be our background behind her head. So I'm going to hit Command E to merge down, hit it again to merge down again. And this is behind this head now. So if I turn this on, we see her head and all those flyaways are gone. So this is before. Let's zoom in here and look at these flyaways. This is before and that's after. So it does a little bit better job of making this look a little more natural. Let's see what it did over here. Now we still have a little bit of that edge, and if we want to, we can easily take care of that. And how do we do that? We put a mask on this background, okay? And right now, it's hiding everything. So we want to punch a hole through this so we can see some of these, get back some of the flyaways that are in this image. So if I select my brush tool and I start painting with black here, Okay, see I'm bringing some of it back. I'm just kind of going along the edge here just to make it look a little bit more natural. Right up and through here. I like the top of her hair, that's fine. This over here, maybe a little bit. And I'm using this brush at 100%. Probably should be using it like 30% or something so I don't bring it back so definitively. Make it light, like her hair is just kind of getting lost into the light. And remember, I can keep going back and forth here and take it back and add it back in because we're looking at this layer. Remember, this layer has all the flyaways. And we're using these two items to get rid of them. So I think that's a really nice job. I think it's better than that hard edge. I think you would agree. So again, let's look at our before and after. There's our flyaways before, and there's our flyaways after. So quite a bit more natural. We don't really need this layer anymore because this layer is the equivalent of all of these. So if I delete it, you won't see any difference whatsoever. So we'll delete it. We'll delete it for the sake of just file size, and we don't need it. So now that is how we get rid of those flyaways. In this next video, let's talk about how we are going to extend this fur off to the edge of the image so as to get rid of or to cover up the rest of this flooring that's off to the side, maybe to perhaps give the image a little more balance.